Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about box squats because the topic is coming up now that I am doing box squats, and the question becomes, why am I doing them? What is the purpose of them? What role do they serve? And again, go back to what I say with some of these videos. This is not for novice lifters. I'm going to state this again. This is not for novice lifters. If you're still struggling to get to a 3-plate per side squat for a few reps, you don't need box squats, right? You do not need box squats. Some intermediates start to benefit from them, some advanced lifters. And largely one of the big reasons we do the box squat, there's a couple of reasons. Part of it is to break up the eccentric concentric chain. One of the other big reasons though is reduced axial loading. Why is it that you see all of these coaches out here who don't know how to train any basic barbell lifts do things like, well, you need single leg exercises so that you can stimulate adaptation of the legs with less stress on your torso and back, right? They give you this nonsense. They give you all this nonsense because they are right to some extent. If you reduce axial loading, you can do a little more training volume and recover from it a little bit better. But does that mean that you need to completely unload your back, that you don't need anything sitting on your spine? Of course not. That's insane. That's insane. That's how you develop muscle imbalances. That's how you end up with legs that aren't proportionately strong to your back, and then you become one of those guys who say, oh, squats and stuff, it's the back is the limiting factor and not your legs. When there are people who have built insane legs off of nothing but squatting. And there are guys who squat 600 and 700 pounds who don't do any sort of exercises but squatting for their squats or legs either. So it's absolutely not true. And if anything, when you start taking real athletes or anyone who's trying to maximize size and you start saying things like, well, we need to make the legs grow without making other stuff grow at the same time, that's exactly when you get weak athletes, you get people with weak cores, you get people who gain less muscle. Not the mentality you need to be taking. But the box squat will force you to use a slightly lighter weight. But in using the slightly lighter weight, your core is still worked. In fact, when you start looking at the loading times, because you have to pause on the box briefly and the setup and everything else, you end up spending with a lot of time. You would have more seconds with a given amount of weight loaded on your torso and your abs and everything else. So you end up with a really good training effect as far as the amount of time you have to support that, particularly once you start doing multiple sets. It gives you a good training effect without compressing quite as much weight on it. But what about the effect on the legs and the lower body? Well, that's tremendous. You can get just as much training effect on the legs with sometimes 10% less weight, right? Because it's more difficult, we can do that. And therefore, something as little as a 10% reduction in weight still gives you a good training effect on the core, on your erectors, whether it's your thoracic erectors, spinal erectors, everything else, right? We build the back and the core with just a slight reduction in weight. But the difference in terms of training volumes that you can subject yourself to is higher because it is easier to recover from. And we get a very pronounced training effect in the lower body. Now, why do we use less weight on it? Because we're losing the myotatic reflex. We're losing the stretch reflex. We're breaking up the eccentric concentric chain. And we're doing it in such a way, not just with a pause squat, which has its own set of issues with the lower back, right? That's oftentimes where you do see some of the lower back strains. You can't get that posterior pelvic tilt on a box squat, so it doesn't carry the same risks on the back. What about people who have problems with knees? Well, it's actually the least stressful form of squatting you could do for your knees as well, isn't it? Because you can sit all the way back further. So we end up with a really, really good squat in terms of injuries. Again, lower back injuries as long as you touch the box correctly. You don't slam onto the box. Now, you do sit back onto the box. But it tends to be a lower risk for the lower back as far as deeper movements go, particularly when compared to a pause squat. Less stressful on the knees. So people who have problems with these things can only handle so much training volume in these areas. The box squat allows them to get a lot of training volume in with a pretty heavy weight. All right, that is a big deal, right? This exercise lets you get in a lot of training volume on a big exercise. Well, that's a good tool for gaining size and strength. Now, a lot of people would say, well, couldn't a novice do it then? No, because a novice needs to get stronger, and you can move more weight on a normal squat. And a novice lifter doesn't have the same problems with axial loading. I'm going to go out on a limb and say unless you can squat for a male at least 400 pounds and probably at least 225 for a female, you don't even need to be thinking about things like axial loading, right? You don't even need to be thinking about stuff like that. You need to just do squats and deadlifts and other conventional exercises. That's what you need to do. So you're not really getting that benefit. You're not getting that benefit. It's really just a waste at that point. You would do better just doing the normal exercise. But once we get to a certain strength threshold, it does allow for more training volume. It also allows for a little bit of exercise variation. What is it that I've said that as we get more advanced, some minor exercise variations actually reduce injury rates. I've discussed why. Not that long ago, actually, I've discussed why. There's a couple of reasons why that happens. But this is an exercise variation that has 100% carryover. What do we mean by that? If you get stronger on your box squat, your normal squat, your normal back squat will go up. It has direct carryover. Direct carryover. That's a big deal, and meaning you can build a squat off of a box squat. That's what I did before, because I had reasons when I came back to lifting why I needed a box squat, and it had to do with my balance because I had been recovering from Meniere's disease. I had to learn to walk again after spending pretty much 10 months in bed. Training and rebuilding my balance and stabilizers had its own set of issues, so I was doing a lot of squatting with chain swinging. So I was doing box squats. Also, I was having trouble with body orientation. I couldn't judge my depth anymore because I lost the ability to feel my body orientation because of my inner ear condition. So for me, it allowed me to judge my depth perfectly. So I rebuilt my squat off of that. I got my box squat over 400 again, and then started back squatting and got my back squat up to like 470 real fast. And this was, years ago. This was again after I started training again, after I relearned to walk again and all that stuff back in my 30s. So that was one factor because it let me judge depth and everything correctly. And the box squat can also be a training tool for a novice lifter who can't reach parallel or sit back. It can be a training tool for them under a coach who knows what they're doing, so you can use it for that. But as soon as they can squat correctly, you need to pull that box back out. So it has uses there for novice lifters in a coached environment. But it's not something you should be doing on your own because it needs to be with someone who knows what they're doing. They're just doing it to train you to be able to sit back, and then they pull the box out once you're able to squat correctly. But you can totally build your squat off of it. In fact, if you build a strong box squat, even if you're not back squatting for a little while, you pull the box out and start back squatting again, your back squat will probably be slightly higher than your box squat was. So it's a good tool for doing that. But the other thing we're doing is we're breaking up the eccentric concentric chain. We're training explosiveness from the bottom because, look, you have to come to a stop. It's a dead stop watch. I mean, I'm there at a stop and then I have to stand back up, right? You're losing the stretch reflex. It trains you to be explosive out of the bottom. If explosiveness is a problem for you, and that can be, we slow down sometimes as we gain muscle and strength, and we need to use tools to speed back up, just like we would use something like a floor press to do the same thing for the bench press. Again, once you've built enough of a base, you can use it to train explosiveness from the bottom, right? The box squat can be valuable for that. Absolutely can be. So it can be used as an explosiveness training tool also. So it has all of these benefits. The other big one, you can train your sumo deadlift with it. It's a perfect assistance movement for the sumo deadlift. If you happen to be doing sumo, and no, I don't think everyone should necessarily do sumo. I'm a big fan of conventional pulling. I think sumo should be banned in powerlifting. That's my stance on it. But if a person pulls 10 pounds more sumo than they do conventional, they're obviously, if they're smart, they're going to pull sumo in comp because it gives them an advantage within the confines of the rules. And it depends on the person's structure. Depends on the person's structure. So if you wanted to train the sumo deadlift, the box squat is an amazing assistance movement for it. Because watch the movement. It is essentially a sumo deadlift, right? Look, that's a sumo deadlift. Now that's a hybrid stance sumo, but that's a sumo deadlift. You're down in a similar hip position, similar torso position, similar foot position to what you're doing on a sumo deadlift, particularly if you go even wider. And you're coming to a dead stop. You have no stretch reflex. So watch that movement one more time. Isn't that a sumo deadlift? Watch when you come down and you stop at the bottom after the eccentric. That's a sumo deadlift. It's basically the same movement. It's not perfectly, but it's real close. So again, the box squat carries over really, really well, even though you're using a slightly lighter weight, so it's easier to recover from. So that's another valuable use of it, is an assistance movement for your sumo pulls. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.